fostering women-centered discourse.
Good morning, Dominica. Good morning, the rest of the world.
Offering women a platform to be candid.
All of your life, you've been planning for a pandemic.
Share ideas and information relevant to our wholesome development.
My main concern was always for the people.
Join Jael Joseph and Trudy Christian on Woman2Woman every Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we discuss live and in living color on Digital Channel 57, Facebook, and of course, the champion station, Vibes Radio.
I'm good. Using the camera as my mirror as usual. my ready to go mirror. Jael, how was the weekend? What's up? How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing good. The weekend was very, very drunk, but especially Saturday. Not the whole weekend, just Saturday. It was my friend's birthday, and they're Guyanese, and Guyanese, they party hard, right? So we were at a picnic from like 11 in the morning and did not leave until 8:45.
Oh, wow.
I know.
So, listeners, good morning. If you're listening to us on Vibes Radio, good morning to you. If you're on social media, you're seeing us and you're seeing Jael's new do. Jael is braided up. Jael is braided up. So, guys, the Woman2Woman page listeners, the listeners on our social media platforms, let us know about Jael's new look. I feel it's hot. I feel now we're really twinning, Jael. We're twinning.
Mm-hmm.
We're twinning.
Yeah. Like it took like about an hour and a half on Friday. Well, I told you guys I wanted to braid my hair eventually. I normally do like protective style when winter is there, when winter cometh. It's not there, but I want to do something cute and sassy and saucy. And I decided to do this. So I did the knotless braids, which are it's a box braid version, but it's knotless, so that my actual hair is braided. So yeah, it's a good thing when you have people that can braid it. So when you have people that can braid it. So I got that.
Rosalind is saying it looks great. So good morning. Good morning.
Yes. Good morning, guys. Good morning to the folks. It's Monday. I know most people don't like Mondays. I don't know if you're like me. I don't like Mondays at all. So good morning to you. If you are up and about and you're at work, or you're on your way to work, or you're probably just getting out of bed. Good morning to you. Those of you on radio, those of you on TV, on Digital Channel 57, right. And those on our social media, our Facebook followers, our
faithful Facebook followers. Yes. Always with us.
Yes.
They're already picking us up. On the Woman2Woman page, I see Will telling us bonjour. Bonjour to you, Will. Lauren, Colleen, Denise. Good morning to all you ladies.
Yeah, we have some new folks. Hi, Shola. Shola is logged in Toronto. Good morning to you, Shola. Thanks for joining us. First time seeing you on here. Or at least first time you commented on here. So good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. Nisha is here, and the rest of the gang is joining us. The gang, they're joining us. Somebody messaged me on Friday night, and they're like, "Yo, Jael, like, it's one of our Facebook followers, and I'm probably know them. They know themselves. They're like, just want to let you know if in any event, if anything happens, I have your back." I was like, well, it's good to know. It's good to know. I don't even know the person. I've never met the person before. So it's good to know that you got my back. Trust me, but my back is a dashing. So I think it moved. What did you do on the weekend, Trudy?
The weekend was good. The weekend was good. I did several things. On Saturday, I presented at a leadership workshop, the Convent High School Umoja clubs, which is a combination of their speech chorale, their choir, and their sign language clubs. They had this huge leadership workshop over the weekend, of course, organized by Leandra Landa, and I presented at that workshop. It was cool. All these young ladies, all that energy. I missed my high school days. I mean, those were the days, honestly. I mean, those were the best days. So to see all these young ladies and having fun and, basically learning stuff whilst they go along was really great. And yesterday I visited the Roseau Valley. It's been a while since I've been down there. Quite a few places have popped up, restaurants.
At Roseau Valley, like it's like you're a minister of parliament, or you.
Yeah, because I didn't go to one place. Like I went to several different places. So I just group it up: the valley, the valley, the whole constituency.
Where did you go in the valley?
So there are a few places in Watton Waverton. There's one. Well, the big hype now is Screws has reopened, and everybody's checking out Screws. Yes. So I went. I didn't bathe, but I went to see what it was. All the hype was about. I went to. There's this other new place called Natty's Tropical Valley, where it's close to the river, and they kind of use that water, and they did like a pool. And then there's also I went to check it out. Now I've been seeing people posted pictures. I'm like, let me go see what these places are about.
I see Dora posted a picture.
Right.
Yeah, is that what you're referring to?
Yes. So I went.
When it was under construction.
Oh, okay. So it was on his profile. So I'm like, hey, let me go and see where Delroy was there, relaxing. So I went to check that out. But I saw so many people out in that area, Watton Waverton, Trafalgar. A lot of people were, I guess that was like the Sunday line. A lot of people were out and about. Yeah.
That's it. I guess people are taking advantage of the fact that they cannot really, or it's a hassle to travel.
Right.
They're definitely utilizing all of the tourist attractions around the island. I have a question though. Like, do people have to still pay for the local?
Yes.
Because I was wondering about it, because I remember, I know visiting Emerald Pool before, you didn't have to pay as a local.
Oh, well, no, as a local for Emerald Pool, no. But some of these places, like the Sulphur Spring kind of places, the places where people have built up and own the property, yeah, you have to pay. You have to pay to enter. Yeah. Okay. But Emerald Pool, no. Not as a local. As a local, well, I visited Emerald Pool the last summer, and we didn't pay. It was a whole group of us.
It wasn't post-COVID.
It wasn't post-COVID. That's true.
It would be interesting to know because I personally think there should be a charge. There should be a fee. Because I mean, no tourists are coming in really. So how are they to maintain the sites? So at least at $2,
a little something.
I feel like there should be a fee. Just
a
saying.
Little something.
Just saying. Yesterday I did my boot camp, which I do every Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a really good time doing that. I thought I would have been in a lot more pain this morning, but I was able to wake up and skip to 100. Like I've been going every day. I try to go up by 10. So today I made my mark to 100 skips, and hopefully I can get to 200 by the end of the week.
Okay. Goals?
Yes. Giovanni is saying that they should charge. Yes, they should definitely charge. Charge the locals. Sorry, locals. I mean, right? I'm just telling y'all, they should charge a small fee of $2, maintenance of the site. Giovanni is saying people leave all their trash on the site. And I know in Lola they've been having a lot of that, a lot of trash being left on this. I don't know about the other sites because I'm not familiar with the other sites.
Yeah, recently there was a big deal about Red Rock in Calibichi. The proprietor of the kind of restaurant, before you get to Red Rock, they started to charge a little fee. And then people will, there was a whole social media thing about that. But she basically explained that the fee was for just like what Jovian is saying, for cleaning up, because a lot of people actually leave a lot of trash at the site. So I know at Red Rock there's a slight fee, $1 or $2, but
here's an idea for y'all. Here's a way to make money so that y'all don't harass people. Get a fee system going on, so that people can. I mean, I don't see why not. I feel like if you're from a country, you should want to maintain the natural resources of the country.
Or in addition to having to pay a fee, just when you go to our natural sites, don't litter. Take care of the place like it's your home. Like
hard for people, because everybody not exactly neat. Some people untidy, So some people just. I think
even the beaches, Jill. Like, I'm wondering why go to the beach and you eat and then you have to leave all your stuff that you ate from right there on the beach. Like, why?
And when they go to other people's countries, they don't do that.
Yeah. So,
right?
Yeah.
Right. Anyways, we got a guest today. I think the topic kind of sort of fits in.
Yes, we're ready to get into the topic.
That was definitely not intentional, right? When she was talking about that, and I just thought, oh, is there a fee, But we have a guest today. We have Arnelle Issac is joining us right after we take a short break. We're going to come back, and then she's going to be talking to us. Trudy, let you guys know a little bit more about who Arnelle is, and we hope that you guys share the live.
Yes, definitely. Share the live. Share the live.
On the Woman2Woman page. I don't know. Are you seeing people on the Woman2Woman?
On the Woman2Woman page, people are telling us good morning. Vinetta is on. Melinda is on. So yeah, we're on the Woman2Woman page.
Yes. You see, Shola is agreeing with me. An entrance fee should be charged. I agree 100%. Even if it's $2, charge a fee. We're coming back with more Woman2Woman right after this.
Question for us on Woman2Woman? Send in your questions on 767-245-0514 or email us at w2w.vibesradio@gmail.com. Tune in Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. to the Champion Station with Jael Joseph and Trudy Christian, only on Vibes Radio.
It's always a great deal at LA Jubilee Hardware Store. A wide variety of wood and metal curtain rods at amazing prices. So many patterns for your home and business decor needs. We have roofing, concrete, and wood screws of all lengths, nails by pound and bulk, hand and power tools, paint and paint accessories, all types of silicones, door locks, and hinges, shop or decorative mirrors and housewares, cutlasses and garden tools, ladders, wheelbarrows, kitchenware, pots and pans and kitchen appliances, durable ironing boards, clothes dryers, toilets, face basins, kitchen sinks, bathroom faucets, and so much more hardware items. At LA Jubilee Hardware Store, you get special discounts when you spend over $29. What are you waiting for? Come home to quality at LA Jubilee Hardware.
Huggies Active Sec disposable diapers provides the best absorption results. Its Velcro Dura technology provides a long-lasting fit for up to 12 hours of absorption and are available in sizes small to XXL at an affordable price. Huggies Active Sec, aiding your baby to explore the world. Available at all supermarkets and shops island-wide and distributed by Springfield Trading Limited.
We wake you up to take you up, so stay up like a champion.
Right now it's woman time. Hey, it's your girl Tasha P, and you're listening to Woman2Woman.
I see some more people have come on. So it seems the live was shared. Good job. It's still not too late. It's still not too late. If you haven't done so, share that live. We're about to bring on our guest, and you definitely want to be a part of this conversation. So make sure, share the live, tag a friend, let other people get on board with the conversation this morning. So Jael, our guest is in the house. She's patiently waiting. We have with us this morning Arnelle Issac, and she has done a bachelor's degree in natural resource, management, and also in geography. So two majors for her first degree, and currently she's pursuing a master's degree in crisis and disaster management. So with us this morning, Arnelle. Arnelle, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jael. Good morning, Trudy. Good morning, all our listeners and viewers.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
I'm good. I'm good. Arnelle, you have an interesting little lineup here of degrees and of things that you have pursued. So started with natural resource management and geo, and now doing crisis and disaster management. Sometimes when I hear crisis management, I think Olivia Pope scandal. Tell me, tell me, how did you come around to being interested in these fields? Like, what led you in your first degree to pursue geo and natural resource management, and now go in the route of crisis and disaster management? What was that about?
Okay, I had a love for geography from since high school. I also loved math, so my challenge was choosing between geo and math. And I always knew that I wanted to go into disaster management eventually, so I felt that geo would have taken me down that route. So that's why I chose geography for my undergraduate degree.
Okay. And then the crisis and disaster management that you're pursuing now.
The crisis and disaster management, well, my dad was the national disaster coordinator for Dominica for a while. And I got interested in the field when he was at that office. And I felt that it fit my personality because I didn't want to do something that was just office work. I wanted a good combination of field work and being in the office. And I felt that crisis and disaster management allows me to assist others at the same time. So I felt like that was a perfect fit for me.
Wow.
Okay. Nice.
It's not often you see women going into that line of work or that field of studies, at least. You are currently home in Dominica, and I hope that you plan to possibly return, or are there plans to return? And if you do have plans to return, how do you feel that you utilize what you are studying and incorporate that into Dominica?
Well, currently my plan is to assist Dominica and the region as much as possible. I would love to stay home and really develop the sector, the field. I feel like with climate change now, we are expecting more intense storms, so hurricanes, but it's not only about natural hazards, it's also about man-made hazards as well. So even things like the COVID-19 pandemic, we learn how to manage these crises and these situations. So yesterday it has a sort of Olivia Pope situation in it as well. So it's not just natural hazards that many would think, but there are also man-made hazards. We study how to manage these crises, these situations.
Right. I always, yeah, it's interesting how sometimes we don't realize how important that is. It really became a thing for me when I looked at Scandal to see how crisis management, and as you just mentioned, man-made crises, actually need to be handled. So it is indeed an interesting choice. And combining that with the disaster management as well, of course, climate change, disaster after disaster. I think you have chosen very well in terms of what you plan to do. Jael and I were just talking before we brought you on about all these natural sites in Dominica that people are now flocking to because, of course, it's summer and due to COVID, traveling has become almost a thing of the past. So we all kind of enjoy the sites locally. What do you believe in what you've done so far that we can really do as Dominicans to preserve these sites and make sure that they are kept in pristine conditions? Us visiting the sites, what can we do?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, first thing is waste management. This is critical to not just our sites, but our everyday natural surroundings, our environment, because at the end of the day, a lot of our waste goes to the sea, and then what happens is that we put our marine ecosystem at risk as well. So it's not just our terrestrial ecosystems or land ecosystems. We also have to think of our marine systems. So waste management is definitely one. I think that also we can maybe implement a way to have a certain number of visitors in certain time slots so that you do not have too much of a heavy footprint on our sites. Because we have to think of our footprint as well, because we share our sites with our animals. So we also have to think of them and maintaining that balance between in our ecosystems as well.
I'm glad you mentioned that, and I think my question to you really is, um, how do you see tourism and its role incorporated into the whole natural resources and preservation of natural resources? How do you see tourism in Dominica specifically? Do you see it contributing negatively or positively to the natural resources that we have?
Well, currently, I don't think that our tourism sector is putting too much of a pressure on our ecosystem right now. However, with everything that we do, we have to do it sustainably. So it's a matter of, again, finding a balance between, yes, we want these tourists and we want them to come in, but I feel like when we do let them in, we have to tell them, okay, this is our goal. We are trying to preserve ourselves as a nature isle, and there are certain things or rules or policies that we have to put in place to ensure that we maintain that standard for generations to come.
I have a follow up to that. Would you say, what about, you mentioned when you spoke tourism, kind of just probably left it to the land, but there's also cruise tourism, and we expect that will open eventually. And I mean, there's been a history of the cruise ships dumping all their garbage, disrupting our coral reef, our marine life, erosion on our shores as a result of the garbage and stuff. How do you? What do you think in terms of do you think that there is preservation or how can they limit cruise ship? What can be done in order to somewhat mitigate the whole risk factor of having our coral reef?
I think we need to take a more active role in preservation, as you said, right? So it's not just about telling these tourists, okay, do not litter or do not destroy our coral reefs. In this day and age, there are ways you can help build back your coral reefs. So let's not wait until it's too late where we see our coral reefs already destroyed for us to try to save them. There are things that we can do with replenishment and so forth to maintain these ecosystems. Mangroves are also very important to preserving beaches and to preserving marine life and marine ecosystems. So these are things that we can actively do to help maintain these ecosystems that we already have. So it's not just sitting back and waiting for something to happen. It's just being more proactive in whatever we do rather than being reactive.
Right. Anna, you mentioned something so interesting. As it relates to replanting or regenerating coral reefs. There was actually, I maybe later on, Jael, we could have the somebody from the fisheries, Ministry of Fisheries, and because they did this project of regrowing coral reefs. I know one of the young ladies in Portsmouth was a very instrumental player in that. And it's so interesting, like how it's done and that it can actually be done. So I like that you brought that up. We could actually be proactive and really facilitate those sorts of programs that seek to regrow and reestablish coral reefs. So maybe it sounds like something maybe later on we could go further into it because it does happen here. But maybe a lot of people are not even aware that we do it. Yeah. Arnelle, you're pretty young and you have taken taken this up as your passion. Why should other young people be interested in preserving our natural resources? Why is it important for the youth to have a say in this stuff? What do you think?
Well, it's important for the youth to play a role because at the end of the day, it's not just it's for generations, right? This is not just present day we're speaking. We're talking about conservation for future generations. So, as they say, the youth are the future. I like to say the youth are now, but we have to think of how we're going to take charge now so that when we have the generations after us that we can teach them and help them. So it's just a continuous cycle of how we can continue to preserve our natural resources.
And what about just to follow up, what about people that may say, okay, so the youth, we're not the youth are not the policy makers, decision makers, the big players, you know. So how can they really have a voice? What would you say to people who say that? Like, we're not, the youth are not, I say in we because I'm including myself. The youth are not the people that, have the positions of power. What would you say? What would you say to them? Or how would you
I think
convince
that
them? You know?
I think that is us to make the change and us to make the difference at the end of the day. We cannot wait for policymakers to sit back and be like, oh, what would the youth think, right? So there are clubs, there are numerous youth clubs, environmental groups that persons can get involved in. If you're not interested in necessarily joining a club, there are other ways to have your voice heard. So, for example, I wrote an article a few months ago prior to the hurricane season on how would we balance dealing with COVID-19 and the hurricane season. I also recently wrote one with Sheldon Alfred, who is an architecture graduate student, and basically speaking about how we could make Roseau into a livable and sustainable city. And that was published quite widely in different media. So it's not just sitting back and waiting. I guess you have to be, like I said, proactive and get your voice out there and hopefully it sparks a conversation and then things go from there.
Hmm.
So
I, I have a question. As a young person, how important do you think, or do you deem the telecommunications sector in Jamaica? Do you think that given today's age, is it something that should be considered as a priority?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last part of your question.
Do you think that given today's age, is it something that can be considered or should be considered as top priority that is, telecommunications sector?
Yes, and there are numerous reasons for that. In a disaster situation, the first thing that we tend to go for is our phones, right? We want to communicate with friends, we want to communicate with family, what's going on. So a lot of research has shown that post-disaster, then the usage of telephones increases significantly. Also, emergency responders rely on telecommunications for disaster response, disaster rescue efforts. So it's a very, very important sector that we need to ensure that is resilient against certain disasters because it basically frames our entire disaster response framework and how much we can do in a disaster situation, post disaster, pre disaster as well.
So, and I'm talking about disaster, which is, we're moving now into disaster management and talking a bit about disaster management. Of course, you just mentioned the hurricane season. And we are approaching the peak of the hurricane season. We see the Atlantic is really, acting up currently. Um, Young people, again, we want to get back to young people and crisis or disaster management. How do you see Dominica's youth playing a bigger role, a more obvious role in disaster management? Because of course, that is at the forefront of everybody's minds in the hurricane season. What if we have a major disaster, a major hurricane? So how can young people really step out and take a lead in disaster management, in your opinion?
Okay, well, I think it starts with not just thinking only about disasters during the hurricane season.
Mm-hmm.
We also need to remember that we are on a fault line, so we are prone to earthquakes. We have 9 active volcanoes, flash flooding, landslide. So we're a very disaster prone island. So let's not just think of strictly hurricane season, right? So youth need to always be prepared. There are numerous volunteer opportunities. You have opportunities at the Red Cross and different NGOs that have been present, and some humanitarian actors that have been present post Maria. So the opportunities are there. It's just for people to be interested and get involved. Also, youth can play a part in family disaster plans, right? So if you, let's say I live with my grandmom, for example, if I live with my grandmom, then I want to make sure that I have a go bag, an emergency bag for her, that she always has 6 months supply, whatever amount of supply of her medication ready to go. So it's just these little things that we can do just to ensure that we are prepared for a disaster, not just during the hurricane season, but really at any time.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Another question here is, what impact would the lack of properly structured telecommunications sector have on our country or even on the economy? And how do you feel the lack of this will affect people?
Okay, so this is basically the focus of my research, right? What were the impacts of Hurricane Maria on the telecommunications sector in Dominica? And so far, based on the results that I have on my research, what we see is a lot of people were saying that it the challenge was to contact friends and family, right? They really wanted to be able to contact family, and that in itself gave them a sense of anxiety post disaster. So not just what was actually going on, but the fact that you don't know what's going on with your family, and not just people locally, but those overseas. So, for example, myself, I was out of Ireland when Hurricane Maria happened, and I could not contact my family for 4 days. So that in itself is, it presents a challenge, and that is the impact that persons are saying that it has had on them.
What do you think, a follow up, what do you think can be done though, in order to kind of, I guess, help or make things better? Like, is it an issue with the telecommunications providers or is it just a general issue?
It's it's challenging because no two disasters are the same, right? So while we may say, okay, this didn't work for Maria, so let's try this, it might not work for some other hurricane that we have sometime in the future. However, the main recommendations that we're seeing coming up so far from society is the placing of the network underground to
Mm-hmm.
really try to prevent having pole damage from high winds and so forth. But from what my research has also told me, these telecommunications companies did make the effort post Maria to try and increase the resiliency of their networks. So certain companies changed the infrastructure that they use. They fortified certain buildings and so forth. So we learned the lessons. It's just a matter of really putting them into action God forbid we have another category 5.
Yeah, I always found it strange that we have all these lines. Like I always find it so strange that why we have all of these lines running. Like clearly must have been a man who thought that out. Just throwing that out there because I don't see the practicality of it. I mean, we have big trucks, and even like carnival time, we always have an issue with those lines. Line, and during disasters, not just the telecommunications providers, the electrical companies, running those lines. I never got it because I'm like, I live in Canada and I don't see the lines. Right. I don't see any lines. And granted, Canada is a first world country, but still, it's like, when are we going to get out of that up above ground lines and get into something, more that makes more sense and is more practical and can last longer, because you think that on the ground line is different. So yeah, that just makes me
I know times that, there's so many improvements now in technology, but I think the difficulty of our topography in Dominica is maybe what, is stalling some of the, what we see as obvious progress elsewhere, because we have to admit we have a pretty difficult terrain. Sometimes I look at Dominica and I'm like, wow, there are a lot of challenges in infrastructural development because of our terrain. So I'm hoping, as Jael said, we will eventually move to, eliminate a lot of those lines. But after Maria, the electricity company reestablished the same lines. So I'm figuring it will be a topography issue. I'm not sure. Arnelle, I don't know if you have any insight in that. And the reestablishment of the network. Telecommunications, you mentioned underground, they made that effort. But electricity-wise, I saw the return to overhead. I don't know.
Time, and it took so long before power could be reinstated. Yeah. I would think that, okay, they were thinking of an alternate. Why it took so long?
I mean, it was more than just our topography as well. It has to do with regulations. Mm. It has to do with policies. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes where we have to think of. It's not just the company may want to go underground, but the circumstances may not allow them to develop that underground network. One company does have a pretty good underground network while another does not. So we have to try to figure out why and why not. And yeah, so it's not just the terrain. It goes a little further than that.
So one of our listeners is weighing in on the discussion. She's saying some underground work was done post-Hurricane David. However, with an abundance of bridges, some of these installments were destroyed by Erica and then Maria. Okay, so that's one comment that has come through. Another listener just said infrastructure. I don't know exactly in response to what. And then another listener is saying brilliant young lady. So Arnelle, speaking to you, she's saying brilliant young lady. So yeah, we have some listeners.
On my feed, a comment that came in is that the power company is the biggest killer of natural resources. What are your views on that?
My view is that, like I said, everything has to do with sustainability, right? We can harness electricity in a sustainable way in Dominica. We are blessed with numerous natural resources. We have hydro, we have solar, we have wind, we have geothermal. I think it's a matter of combining all of these and harnessing energy, but in a sustainable manner. I feel like we do not take enough advantage of the natural resources that we have, not to abuse them, but like I said, sustainably, because I mean, technology these days allows us to do a lot with our natural resources. So I feel like why not let it be an income generator for the country, some way, somehow.
Follow up on that question. you mentioned geothermal, and we know that there have been a lot of plans to incorporate geothermal energy, especially in the Loda area. However, some people may say that the placement of the actual facilities too close to homes and too close to the natural sites and not should be placed further out. Um, what are your, I mean, I'm sure you've been doing research and you probably would have considered that as well within your research. What was your takeaway from your research in terms of where the placement of some of these, because you did mention that, and I believe that to some extent that the residents should be protected. They should have a say in terms of what is placed there and how it will affect them negatively or positively. And a lot of work has gone on in Lola as it relates to electricity through
Hydro.
hydro, yes. And now they're exploring the whole geothermal option. However, it may be like you can pass through road and you can see where the site is. So it clearly is to the residential area. What are your thoughts on that?
I think in Dominica we have a challenge of size, because at the end of the day, no matter where we put what, it may be close to something. So it comes back to developing policies and putting policies in place that allow us to develop in a way that does not affect our population, our people, right? So maybe zoning. And I know we're going to have a challenge if we say let's do zoning, because persons might not want to leave their homes, persons might not want to move. But at the end of the day, you can never please everyone, right? So it's a matter of balancing development with pleasing your citizens, which is difficult in any country, any part of the world. We don't have unlimited land space where we can say, okay, let's put this geothermal site here and not have people for 200-300 miles away living anywhere close to the geothermal site.
But in that case, the people were there first. So why do you zone people out where you can use your resources, put your resources elsewhere? You get what I'm saying? Like, why displace people when you can replace or move elsewhere? Like, that doesn't make sense to me.
With geothermal energy, it's very site specific. So as you may have known, we had other testing sites in other areas, and it felt like there was not enough energy in those specific areas. So it's very site specific. So you will not necessarily be able to develop a geothermal plant anywhere you have a sulfur spring, if that makes sense. So that is why that area was chosen. It's just because that is where they felt they would have gotten the most energy being able to harness from the earth. So it's again a challenge. Yes, the people were there first, but that is where we have it's the perfect or the right area for developing the plant.
Sounds tricky.
I missed some of what Arnelle said. There was a little internet interruption on my end, so I missed some of what you all were saying. I just caught the last piece of what you just said. I know.
She was basically saying that it may be a relocation thing, like a site they may have to, because right now where it was selected for geothermal was probably that was where the best site is in terms of harnessing energy. So
okay. I see we have a listener commenting. She's saying, with 9 active volcanoes and geothermal testing going on, do we have any technology or office in place on island monitoring seismic activity? So Arnelle, that's to you.
Yes. Yes, we do. The UESRC Seismic Research Center based in Trinidad has equipment on island that monitors seismic activity. So yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So to answer that listener's question, Arnelle, right now it's you in crisis management, which which is a part of what you're doing. We have not just man-made crises, we have now a health crisis going on. We are in the time of the COVID-19 pandemic. So that, that is a whole other aspect of what you would have to take into consideration in your line of work, and what you're doing. So my question to you is, what lessons can you say, or do you feel that we've learned from handling not just disasters and like natural disasters, Hurricane Maria, for instance, but also handling the COVID-19 pandemic? And is there any correlation, or is there any link to those lessons we've learned and the telecommunications sector? Do you think that lessons were learned in that sector specifically, from these two major things, disasters and pandemic? What do you think?
It's interesting because the COVID-19 pandemic brought out something that we already knew, but it made it more public that we have a digital divide on islands, right? There are areas that just don't have any broadband internet service, that may not necessarily have consistent mobile phone service and so forth. So because a lot of us had to stay home and work from online, the challenge really came about that, hey, these areas do not have internet service. So how are we supposed to do our work? What are we supposed to do? And I would like to say that I think that the telecommunication providers are aware of the issue, and hopefully that would, because it has been amplified or magnified due to the pandemic, that we would hopefully see some progress being made in these areas that do not have connectivity now. Ahead of the, well, not ahead, but during the hurricanes. If we hopefully don't have major disasters this year to set us even further back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. Arnelle, we have a comment coming in. I think I'll take one from before when we were discussing the underground possibility for our electricity and telecommunication sectors. Somebody said in islands like Bermuda, they made the poles shorter, but Bermuda is flat. Dominican's terrain is difficult. Okay, so that was coming in from our previous area of discussion. And another listener is saying, I have been in the USA for a year now studying electrical engineering, and my main goal is to change the game for Dominica. I want to remove the overhead lines and help the telecommunication company have a better understanding of networking and to become more resilient. Okay, so this is a Dominican who's overseas studying, and who is saying that their goal in what they're studying is to really return and assist the telecommunications sector. So we have people out there, Arnelle, just like you, doing the work to come back and hopefully make a change and make things better. So that's inspiring.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yes.
Also on this year, Francine is saying she agrees. You are very well informed on this subject matter. And Rodney is also commenting that you're a brilliant young lady. I want to know, how far are you in terms of your research, and when can you expect to wrap all of this up and have something that you can present?
Okay, so I'll be completing my research next month, towards the end of next month. Currently, I'm just doing my data analysis. So going through my results, seeing what the people are telling me, seeing what telecommunication companies are telling me, seeing what reports we have exist, and trying and put all these three together to get a holistic idea of what's really going on in Dominica, pre-Maria, during Maria, post-Maria, and are we more resilient? So my research will be completed, my entire dissertation, sorry, I should say, will be completed by next month.
I quickly ask you, how easy was it to get that data?
I was about to ask her that.
How easy was it? How easy was it? Oh, how hard was it to get that data?
I must say that I am fortunate in that I have a good support system. I have a lot of people that I could call on and say, hey, I need X, Y, and Z. Can you get this for me? Or can you put me onto somebody who can assist me in that? Also, my questionnaire, the responses surprised me because my goal was 100 responses for my questionnaire. 10 minimum of 10 per parish. I received 209 responses. Wow. So I am very thankful for everyone who responded. My challenge was that in certain areas that do not have internet access, I would not have received responses from them. My plan was to go out into these communities and do the physical work. However, because of the COVID-19 pandemic, my school said that we're not allowed to go out and do the work. So everything had to be done online. But I did meet my goal, thank God. So it was not too challenging, but I had a few setbacks again because of the pandemic.
Okay.
I'm interested to know what happens next for you after you complete this leg of your studies. What happens next for you, or what are your plans?
Well, my plan is really to integrate myself into the field, get the experience, get the work experience, and really start to see how I can make a change or help develop Dominica and the region by extension. So job hunting.
I have no doubt that you will land a gig because you seem to know your stuff. You don't shy away from questions. So even the difficult ones. So I'm sure they could make use of you. right here, Dominica. So I wanna tell you, all the best.
Thank you.
In everything and submitting and congratulations, for making it thus far, even through a pandemic, because you have that to deal with, your own crisis to deal with.
Right.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. Arnelle, good luck to you. It was great having you this morning on Woman2Woman. I think our audience was very impressed and well appreciative of the information that you shared. So good luck and feel free once that research is submitted and you've defended that defended your research and you out with that master's, feel free to link us back again.
Thank you so much for having me.
To have nice and open discussion on Woman2Woman. So Arnelle, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Yes, Jael. So yeah, Arnelle gave us a lot of food for thought. I mean, and just having young people interested in the developmental aspect of Dominica, it's a great feeling. It's definitely a great feeling.
Yes.
So,
and she had some very valid points, and some I'm sure we could explore on further when she comes back and she's working in the capacity. Probably they should make her, something to do with public relations as well as management. Because I think she speaks, she's very affluent, and we understood everything she said. She kept it simple, stupid. So I don't think anybody, no matter what level of education you have, could have understood what she was saying. And I'm just want to wish her all the best with that, and grateful that she had the time to come up with this.
Yeah. And the comments are now rolling in on the Woman2Woman page. One of our listeners is saying that Sidima could use Arnelle. Kimberly is saying good luck to Arnelle, and Medisha is saying we need some more young people like Arnelle who are passionate about helping to develop the country. I hope one of those organizations see her passion and intelligence and get her on board. So Arnelle, we are ready into the job hunting. For you, already placing you in jobs, so you're good to go.
I think it's necessary though, Trudy. Like I really feel like it's necessary that at some point, the older folks need to understand it's time to step down and make young and new ideas, and you can provide support,
Right.
to get out. We tell it time to step down and make way for
the youth. I agree with that 100%.
And collaborate with them, work with them. I feel like we have a lack of mentorship in Dominica, where the older folks, you very rarely they spot somebody and they say, that young lady, I see prospects. I see that young lady can take over my position in a couple of years, and they take them under their wings and really nurture them. And then I think she's a brilliant young lady, and I think she'd make a perfect, be it natural disaster coordinator, be it crisis management. They're doing everything, So
of course.
right.
Jael, it's the end of our time, the end of another Woman2Woman. Of course, we will be back tomorrow, same time, same place. So make sure you guys join us tomorrow. Good to see everybody on and everybody commented. Be back tomorrow on Woman2Woman. We know
tomorrow is Girl Talk.
To see you. Yes, tomorrow is Girl Talk. Tomorrow is Girl Talk. So make sure you all are on tomorrow. It will be fabulous as usual.
I'm gonna tell you blanks. I'm ready to go. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until tomorrow, have an awesome day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Vibes Radio is fostering women-centered discourse and action, offering women a platform to be candid, share ideas, and information relevant